Welcome, everybody, to Drive Through Sports with Adam and Paul. Today is, I don't even know what today is anymore. I believe it's Wednesday evening, August the 12th. We have a very special guest tonight. We are streaming on Facebook Live right now with Fairview Head Coach Chris Hughes coming to us from Fairview. Paul Brees is in Brentwood, Tennessee. Chris, I'm so excited. I've been looking forward to this all day. So glad you could join us tonight.
I appreciate you guys having me on.
Well,
Man,
so many
Drive Through Sports is about to blow up big, Paul tells me. So this is
I'm telling you, and for everybody that's tuning in, you guys can follow us on Twitter at DThruSports, DTHRU Sports, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Drive Through Sports with Adam and Paul. And you can check out all of our podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, and Google Podcasts just by searching Drive Through Sports with Adam and Paul. Subscribe and follow those platforms. This will also be available on those platforms. The audio and the video of this Facebook Live will be available on our YouTube channel later this evening. So where do you want to get started? There's so many places. I want to go all the way back to the beginning, Chris. I read an interesting article about you. You're a Middle Tennessee guy and went to MTSU. And that's kind of where it all started for you, in flag football, and then it kind of morphed into that. How did your flag football experience begin?
that's MTSU was the best 9 years of my life. I'd do it all over again. I met some great people, but started playing flag football with my dorm like the first year I was there, and we were horrible. And then got to work for it's a funny story. We were talking about earlier about people arguing. I got ejected from a slow pitch softball game in a campus rec event. Had to meet with the director, and I said, "Your officials are horrible." He said, "You think you can do better?" So I started training as officials and hired them and worked for campus rec for about 6 years up there, and just fell in love with intramural sports and started piecing together the best flag players I could. And we went to New Orleans every year before the flood at UNO and played nationals. I went there for 9 years before they banned me, and then I'm on the blacklist. I can't play collegiate flag anymore, so my eligibility is up.
Yeah. Your amateur status is over.
It's over.
It's been revoked.
Yeah, those were some good times, though.
Well, you've got and guys, we've already got a huge audience here. And we kind of joked earlier that they're tailgating in the Walmart parking lot in Fairview, but they probably actually really are right now. But
when you say huge, how many you got, Adam? We show
dude, we got about 25 people right now.
Oh.
we just started. You're breaking all kinds of records right now. But
well, that's all my friends. Y'all are done right there.
That's it. We're finished. But yeah, I mean, so you get to MTSU, and once you leave there, I think a really interesting story is how you got into coaching.
Oh, yeah.
Your first coaching job.
Fairview Middle School, I got very fortunate. I'm one of them guys that left, and they leave Fairview all the time. They say, we're never coming back. I went to MTSU. I'm out of this small town, and I didn't apply for a job there, but I applied in Williamson County, and the principal called me and asked me if I could coach football. Said he saw I was from Fairview, and I said, well, I play flag football, but I wasn't really good at tackle football. And he said, well, you think you know enough about it to coach? And I said, I can give it a shot. And he said, well, you're hired. You start tomorrow. We got a game with Innsworth. And so I came and took the job. The guy they hired from Oklahoma just never showed up, never called. So I kind of backed into my coaching gig. And the first year I went 1-7. I decided if I was going to do it, I had to figure this out. So I got in it, hired me some good assistants, figured out, went to tons of coaches clinics, picked people's brains, and then I haven't had a losing season since then. That's 22 years ago.
That's awesome. I mean, I was just looking at your record, and what you've been able to do at Fairview is just remarkable. One of the highest winning percentages of any coach in the state of Tennessee high school football, with at least 100 games under his belt. I mean, you're in the top 10 all time, and that's a huge, huge accomplishment. And kudos to you and your staff and all that you do with your guys. And I mean, we've got a lot of folks chiming in from the Fairview community on our comment line here. Bert Hester, Brandon Hitt is on here. Aaron Cooper, Jared Jones.
Bert Hester is the voice of the Jackets. He's our announcer on Friday nights.
Well, he's like, yeah.
He's got to support you.
He's like Jacket Pride, baby. And those are some sweet helmets and sweet unis. You mentioned that you guys got a game next week. Doing something special for that.
We are. We've got our brand new bright yellow jerseys. We got bright yellow pants and our yellow helmets. And Paige and Coach Rathbone and I have agreed to do like a little color rush game where they're going to go all red. We're going to go all yellow. So it's going to be entertaining for how many ever fans they let in the game.
That's awesome. So go ahead, Paul.
Well, I was going to say, so, obviously I've known you for a while, Chris, and we talk about Williamson County football a lot. Would you consider Paige as kind of your rival, Williamson County school, obviously, but I mean, is there another school outside of that you feel like I really don't like those guys?
I don't really have. I think Paige is our biggest rivalry because when we started, Paige was in our region. Right. Now that was a long time ago. When I first started, Paige was in our region, and now they've grown to 5A, and we're still 3A. It's still a rivalry, and our kids want to win that game big time. Yeah. It's not quite the same because it doesn't affect us, right. But it's still that L affects you and that W affects you. So it's the way Rathbone and I talked. It's terrible. It has to be the first game, but it kind of dictates our seasons. It's like when they beat us, they go on to have a real good year, and if we beat them, we go on to have a good year. Yeah. And they've got us more than we have them. But if we can just compete with them, I know we're going to be fine in 3A. Right. And exactly. They're a good 5A program. But we don't have anybody, Paul, we're big rival with. Camden, we have some great games with them. Waverly, who's not, they're not even. Then you've got all our region games and everybody that's so close. But now that they started splitting everything up, it's hard to keep those. I'm hoping we can build one, But right now, it's changing up too much for the regions.
Obviously you're kind of the king of the fashion statement of uniforms. I mean, how do you go about like doing that? I mean, obviously we have, you can develop it yourself, or do you get ideas from other people as you're coming up with stuff like this? Because you've had some outstanding combinations and designs.
Nobody's ever asked me this before. This is going to, I don't even know if I've shared this. So
you see, this is what you get. This is what you get when you're on Drive Through Sports with Adam and Paul. We get some real answers to the tough questions.
It's great interviewing skills, Paul. Great.
Thank you.
But I got a lot of my ideas from fantasy football uniforms that I found on the internet. And I find like some of them are real creative. And I saw one that it was a Stinger outfit, and it looked like a Yellow Jacket from head to toe. I tried to get it done and they couldn't make it. But it was just a design. But I took pieces and parts. I came up with the eyes off of a Georgia, I can't remember. It was a school in Georgia that was Yellow Jackets.
Georgia Tech, or
not Georgia Tech. I didn't.
Was it a high school?
I wanted to say no. It wasn't a high school. I had to look it up, but it was a Georgia. It was a smaller school, but they had these cool uniforms, and I got the eyeball design from them. And what's Georgia State? They're not the Yellow Jackets.
They're the Panthers.
Panthers. Yeah. It was a school in Georgia, though, because I still have the logo on my computer because I save all those pictures. But I get them off the internet, look at them, and then I'm going to tell you my decision-making is real simple. I call in my 10 or 15 best players when I'm deciding, and I let them look at it and say, what do y'all want? And then the hype with them gets all my young guys excited.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sure. Yeah. That's so with this color rush uniform that you guys are going with, that's an all yellow, the yellow helmets, the yellow jerseys, yellow pants. Since I'm unfamiliar with it, what's your tradition? What's your home? Is it a white jersey?
Black.
Is it black? Okay.
Black and yellow is our school colors, black and gold. And we changed from the old yellow gold, like Pittsburgh gold, when I got there, to the bright neon. And I'll tell you, we look like a little smaller high school version of Oregon. The real flashy uniforms, a lot of chrome, a lot of black, a lot of yellow. But the kids love them. And
that's awesome.
And then, we've got that, the saying, if you look good, you feel good, you play good, and so forth.
And I got to interject, Adam. Coach Hughes is one of the few coaches that actually, I think you allow your kids' names on the back of the jersey, right? If I'm not mistaken.
I put them on the back, and then we'll take it, and we have them, the name tags on the back, and, a lot of people get away from that and put team or this or that. I'm like, man, if you're a sophomore or older and you played for me 1 year, you get the name on the back of the jersey. Freshmen don't get that, and they can't wait for their sophomore year so they can get their name on the back of the jersey.
Great. That's a great motivation right there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That retention,
you hardly ever see
important.
That's right.
You hardly ever see that. So on a Friday night in Fairview in the fall, I mean, is everything else shut down if it's a home game? And that's
everything but Binkley's live country music. You know, there's right across the road. It's an older crowd, and Dan is a good friend of mine and a neighbor, but he don't shut that down on Friday. But everything else.
Oh, man, because I mean, I grew up late '80s in Williamson County, going to Brentwood High School, and I mean, obviously, Fairview was out in the wilderness, man. If you ran out of gas in Fairview, you were out of luck.
That was pre-Walmart and pre-Publix days, and I lived here then. I grew up in the 70s here, so I was here during that time, and it's changed a lot. But I will tell you what hadn't changed. The community is really tight, and they support each other. And all the good old guys, and I call good old guys the ones that went to school here with me when we were really struggling in football and every sport. You were at Brentwood then. I mean, Fairview was a doormat. And it's really good that this community has now got some pride in its schools and its athletic programs because it's a great place to live.
Yeah, and it must be because we got tons of people watching us right now on Facebook Live, on watch parties, and on our pages here at Drive Through Sports. And we appreciate all of the comments that they're leaving, everybody that's listening in here tonight. But so
hey, let me jump in real quick, Adam. I don't know if you'll probably know this as far as Coach Hughes' coaching philosophy. This guy's a riverboat gambler. I mean, you would love this guy.
I read that about him. Yeah. In fact, it said, the article that I read said you drive your wife nuts with, just punt it on 4th and 3. Why is he going?
No way.
Hey, my assistant coaches go nuts too, and everybody. But I told somebody and I don't remember who it was I talked to, but they asked me what my dream game would be, and I said a game where I never have to punt, that I just onside kick and play offense the whole game, and they never get the ball. That would be a dream game for me. So
I don't know if you remember this, Chris, but there was one time when I was doing the game for WCTV, and I think I said something to you before the game, like, hey, you need to onside kick this opening kick. And he goes, I got something up my sleeve or something like that. And I think you did it against Page or whatever. And I knew from then there's no holds bar. I mean, this guy's,
It didn't work, did it, Paul? Didn't work.
Well, you know what? You gave it a shot, and that was key, right?
Hey, 1 year we fake punted on our own 2-yard line. I had a call in where I told the punter if he sees this, he's a fake. I didn't mean from our own 2-yard line, but he didn't know, and he ran it. And when we got it, and then the coach was mad at me after the game, I was like, look, I had a call in. I didn't know. I yelled, no. It's kind of like that 3-point shot. You go, don't shoot. It goes in, you go, oh, good shot.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But nobody caught him off guard. So,
man. So you guys at Fairview, you're 3A. How many divisions are there in Tennessee? Is it 5 or 6?
There's 6 and then 2 private school divisions, D1 and D2. Maybe is it D3, Paul?
Yeah, but
there's a D3 too.
We don't get involved with those.
So what? So we're talking a 3A school population. What's the minimum maximum that you got to fall under?
We're at 700, but if you get under 600, you're headed back down towards 2A, probably about 550, 580. Then if you go up to 840, I think you go up to 4A. So it's 150 kids about, and we're in the middle of that. We're not the low end, we're not the high end. So we kind of stuck in the middle. We'll be 3A as long as they stay at 6As.
Yeah. Okay. We won.
How do y'all do it?
Harrison won the state championship in 6A last year. We had about 2,200 kids. This year, yeah. Then, hey, and Chris, there's 17 high schools in our county.
Man.
150.
So you got 17 schools and you had 2,200 at that one.
We had 22 at ours. That's not even.
You can find 11 pretty good ball players out of 22.
Oh, yeah. We've got 3 right now that are preseason all-state if we play.
Yeah.
So we're all crossing our fingers about that. But so we got another 200 kids. So now we moved up to 7A. So now we're playing the big boys. We're playing McEachern, Marietta, Hillgrove, Marietta, the defending state champion Marietta. And we're now one of the smaller 7A. We're probably the smallest 7A school out there. So it's going to be a struggle.
I find it's better to be the largest in one class than the smallest in another.
Yeah, we'll just have to see. We'll just have to see how that pans out.
Yeah.
Again, as I say and hope, I get to see how it pans out. And that kind of gets us to our next sort of lead in. with everything that's going on, that's happened the last 48 hours with college football. Obviously it's going to trickle down to us and at the high school level. You especially, it's going to impact you. It's kind of already impacting you in terms of how much you can practice, what you have to do. Take us through a typical practice day with the new protocols in place.
Well, we stagger our check-in times. They all got to be tested temperature-wise. They all have to answer the COVID questions. They all have to put on hand sanitizer. Then we only allow 5 in the locker room at a time, in and out, to grab. We call it grab and go. Grab your helmet, grab your shoulder pads, and go to the field and put them on. So they actually walk in, throw their keys in their locker, grab their helmet, pads, go down. Then when we get down, we social distance on the sideline before we warm up. We go through that. And it's hard, they're used to slapping hands. That was the hardest thing to stop. And I was like, don't touch each other, but they're getting used to it. We have masks that we wear, the gator mask that you can just pull up and pull down. Right. So if we get within 6 feet, they pull their mask up. If they're without 6 feet, they take it down. So we go through our practice like that. We've been very fortunate to not have anything, go wrong with that. We've been very careful, and we're benefiting from it. And like I said, Fairview is a small town, so our demographics, it favors us, I feel like.
Are the players, are they doing individual water bottles, or how are they doing that?
This is the first year I did supply your own. They bring big jugs, labeled with their name on it, and they got their own spot on the track, off to the side when we give them water breaks, which I've never had to do water breaks. But they spread those water jugs and water bottles all over that track, and then they go to their spot and get it, and then they head back. And we try to stagger that too, so that, the line may be over there and we may be finishing up a running back drill, and then the backs will go. So we kind of mix it up. It's been a little different and challenging. I feel like I'm working harder and getting less done. That's what I feel like.
Yeah. And as far as like being prepared for the season, I know you probably do a lot of 7-on-7, a lot of camps and stuff in the summer with your guys. Were you able to do any of that? And if you weren't, how far behind do you think high school football in general is, because you were not able to get that done?
Well, and I had said this before, we look really good on air. We're completing passes. Nobody's got us covered. It's really I'm thinking the games may be real high scoring if we're going to social distance on defense. Okay. However, I do think it's going to be – I talked to my coaches about this the other day, and some of the other coaches from Metro Nashville who haven't got to start, but it's going to be some sloppy games, I feel like, right out of the gate. When we do start, I think it's going to be a lot of just simple – I think offside infractions, holding, just simple things, because we just aren't used to, what we're supposed to be doing. And it's expected, but a sloppy game to me is better than no game. So
true. I agree. And you guys are set for your first official game on what date?
Next Friday, a week from this.
So that one counts against Page.
It is not a region game, but it's our big rivalry with Page, and right now it's on schedule.
So all right.
Hey, Chris, let me ask you this. I don't know if you want to do this or not, but, kind of give us an inside look on your team. I mean, specific names. I mean, guys coming back. I don't, you want to give these guys a shout out, on this big platform here, right?
Yeah. In case Coach Rathbone's watching, they don't have any good players, and they have all the good players.
Gotcha.
So it doesn't matter.
Gotcha.
No, but we've got I like what I'm seeing offensively. We've got some guys that, Logan Nardozzi is a Mr. Football finalist last year, and he's coming back as a running back. He's going to be the focus for them to stop. But we have a lot of keys off of him. Riley Bennett at quarterback. We've got several other kids that are really stepping up, and I love our O-line with Jack Baker and some other people. And it's just been really – like, I feel like defensively and offensively, we got some playmakers. That's why I hate to lose a season like I was worried about, because I have 18 seniors, and most of them have had a significant amount of playing time as sophomores and juniors, which usually makes you pretty good your senior year.
Right.
I think this is the most talent I've had since 2012. And for these kids not to get to showcase that talent would be, really bad. Yeah. But my four-year seniors and ones that have played, like Brody Cox, Kyle King, Bryce Fannin, Jack Baker, Bruce Johnson, all those guys. And I'm leaving out a ton of kids that have worked their butts off for me for 4 years, and this is the time for them to shine.
Well, Adam, I gotta interject real quick. Chris, I guess when you started there, a lot of those guys were having to go both ways. And I think you've developed a lot of depth and a lot of things that you've gotten the program numbers up. I mean, considering this year, what are you talking about as far as depth wise? Any two-way guys going?
2 to 3, and they can be spared. And I'm going to tell you that's a big. I would call it a strategic shift on my part, because I'm one of those people that, at the middle school, I'm playing my best guy on every special team, every offense and defensive snap. You get to high school and you see that in the third and fourth quarters, we just couldn't keep up with people. Like, it was just like they were wore out. And I noticed that, if you've got a guy that's 10% better, but he's 25% more energy, then you're going to be better off with that guy going and keeping it. It's a fine line, and we have to pick the times they go in, the situations. It's almost like a chess game, because most people are having to do it. But when the game's on the line, you want your best players on the field. They realize that, and a lot of them sacrifice. But the difference now is we've started doing that, and a lot of my guys like just playing one way, which is crazy to me, because I would want to be on the field the whole time. I mean, I can't play a lick of defense, but I like to get out there and try. So those guys, they like playing one way because it keeps them fresh, and they can really focus on that one thing they need to do.
Great,
all right, Adam.
Great answer. So
Absolutely.
On that great answer, I'm going to pivot a little bit.
Here we go.
I got on YouTube, and I'm watching some of the highlights of Coach here. Dude, I was blown away. I don't know what tournament y'all are playing in. I think it was a game in 2018 I caught. You were like 27 of 29 for like 379 yards, 5 touchdowns. One touchdown you threw was like a Mahomes deal where you're looking over here and you just kind of shoveled it in the end zone. I'm like, who is this guy? And then I'm looking at your wideouts. That's my question. These guys, I mean, you got like the second coming of Larry Fitzgerald on one team. You got like Tavon Austin looks like in the slot. I mean, these guys are legit. I mean, they are amazing.
I've assembled a really good group around me, and I have a lot of people that say I'm the worst quarterback ever, but I'm a great recruiter. And if I get the fastest and the best athletes, we're going to win. But I've got a guy, Michael Green, right now who played at Cumberland, but he is so fast and so elusive, and he is the best player in Tennessee. I've got 4 or 5 guys from North Carolina, 2 guys from Atlanta, a guy from Florida. We meet them at these flag tournaments. We exchange. It's like a big family. There's like 600, 700 teams play at all these different styles. We all know each other. And so we've pieced together for that AFFL a real good squad. And then I've got my local guys. We just won league last week, 5-man championship. And they're real good too. Some of them play at Austin P, MTSU, TSU. We have a lot of TSU flavor. So all the local schools and stuff here that – these guys made it, and they were OVC and all these, all this and that, but they didn't make it to the NFL. And then you can hang up the cleats, or you can play some flag or arena. I coach with the Music City Fire, which is an arena team in Nashville. Okay. And we meet some guys there. I've got 2 guys playing with me now that play on the Music City Fire, the arena team. So
now, when is their season? Is that a spring season?
It is it's the March through May. Perfect timing for me, where we got weights,
Well, hey, but listen, Chris, before you jump into that arena stuff, because I've got a ton of questions about that. I got to ask you about your most important player on your flag team on the Mean Machine is the center.
Big Tim Campbell.
I mean, how does he come about in this whole thing?
Hey, listen, Tim moved to Fairview. He's living here now, so he helps me out. He used to help out with Hillsboro and our old Franklin coach Clayton. He's a Franklin graduate. Tim Campbell is. Played against Tim a lot in Nashville. He started playing with me. He's kind of my protector. We go to a lot of these tournaments, and the center can't block you, but he can shield. Well, Tim's hard to get around, and he moves good for a big guy. And
did you want to give out his numbers, his specific height, weight?
I tell you what, he's about 6'5" and going a good svelte 302 because he's lost weight.
There you go.
He's trying to get down trim. He's about to get married, and he's got this Fairview girl he's getting with. So he said he's working on it and been training. But he also is a bounty hunter, so he chases criminals all the time. That keeps him in shape too. So
wow.
Some good stories from Tim. If you follow him on Facebook Live, you can see some good stuff.
Well, so switching over to your arena, I call it your side hustles, right? I mean, Coach Hughes, he's just cashing in on the arena, the flag football game. But how did you get involved in these kind of indoor arena leagues? I mean, who did they contact you? Do you contact them? I mean, how does that work out? Is this maybe a flag football connection or somehow?
When it originally started, some of the guys that were playing flag against me were playing arena, and
Okay.
they were telling the coaches and stuff about this old quarterback who's got a real good system. He knows the game, and that got me talking. Billy Back, who was coach of the Nashville Venom, came out to the school and wanted me to draw some pass concepts up, and he was like, man, I like some of this stuff. And he showed me some of his. We all steal from each other. That's how we learn. I want to know what your best play is. You want to know what mine is, and we'll put them in, And so I got with him, got with the Nashville Venom. And then with the new team started, Dr. Bean, Andre Bean at TSU, the team was struggling a little offensively. One of his coaches, Cromwell Stewart, who also coaches high school. A lot of these arena coaches are all high school coaches. That's another connection. But he told Dr. Bean, he said, hey, I got a guy, Chris Hughes, who can set you an offense up. We can run, what they were running back with the Venom. So the fire came out. And Dr. Bean said, why don't you come run a practice, and that'll be your interview. And I came out, and as soon as practice was over, he goes, you're hired. He said, they have people running open everywhere. I said, that's what's supposed to happen, Dr.
That's
Bean.
what's happening. Yeah, it's the idea.
And Bobby DeVorsney, you got to have a guy that supports you. Bobby DeVorsney has been great with the Music City Fire. I really hate we were 1-0. But in our first season, we'll always say we were undefeated because we never lost. We got shut down after our first win, and I can't wait to get out in the Ag Center next year and show some local people what we can do.
Well, give us I think you played your one game was on the road, right?
Yeah.
Kind of take us into an indoor arena road game that doesn't have a lot of budgetary needs that are, how you guys get up there and stuff, because it was quite a way, right?
Here, you know what? We went to West Michigan up there, and we're playing. These guys all played college football. This Western Michigan team was not supposed to lose. They were the Iron Men, and they had all this hype behind them. And we came in and beat them. And Bobby, and Dr. Bean, we had a nice charter bus. We stayed at a nice hotel. I was like, hey, this is not what I was thinking. I thought a Roach Motel and, maybe some crackers on the way. He stopped and fed us 3 or 4 times on the way. We had great meals. I was shocked. I was like, man, this is a good gig. But you got to have those people running it that are in charge of it that they can make that happen, like Dr. Bean and Bobby. And they made it a real good experience for all our guys. All our guys were wanting to come back, and now even more. And that'll be really good with all of those, people come aboard and getting those sponsors, Williamson County, and getting them to come out will help keep that going, hopefully.
How long is the AFL season?
The AFFL is a one tournament a year, and it started. You're talking about the.
I'm talking about the arena season.
You're talking about the arena.
Had you been able to finish?
Arena's about 3 months. Arena's about 3 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's perfect fitting for what we need to do. Now, we do some off-season stuff that I'll go out a night or a weekend and work with the guys a little bit on passing and things. But we're not doing any of that right now, of course, with everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go back to the flag now. The AAFL tournament you're talking about, is that taking place still?
Well, I've got a meeting again Friday with the owner and the 8 elite. We've got an elite group that meets and talks about the schedule and what's upcoming. But that tournament started as $1 million flag tournament, and had it broadcast on TV. And Fighting Cancer and those guys from Louisiana won $1 million playing flag football. And I never thought, we made.
Wow.
I want to say the first year we collected about $28,000, and that was split up between the 12 guys that were playing with me. But my wife always complains about how much money I spend playing flag, and then it was good to be able to give some back. But we have so much fun. We've played for T-shirts my whole life, so this AFFL has just been great for the game because there's so much interest in flag football now, and with everything going on where we can't touch each other, it may even grow bigger and bigger.
Absolutely.
Well, that's why I wanted to also touch on that, because I think do you think the explosion, if you will, of flag football and its proliferation and it gets getting bigger and more widespread is a direct result of some of the the concussion protocols and how I don't know how you guys do in Tennessee, but in Georgia, our association, you can only have so many full contact practices, like so many periods of full contact practice per week, and they instituted that about 5 years ago. I told Paul, I've been an athletic trainer for almost 25 years, And some of the worst injuries I ever saw were at football practice on like a Tuesday.
Yes.
Or they weren't during the games. I mean, they were when, the first team is beating up the scout team and knocking kids out. And I mean, just, you're really pounding on each other. They don't do that as much anymore. Do you think that has sort of pushed more people into flag and at a younger age, maybe?
I think it's made our game more like flag. I think if you look around at all the passing going on in football and, the wing tee and the triple I stack and all that stuff has kind of gone away, and it's more of a finesse game. So I don't think you still see the read game. You got to have good linemen on both sides of the ball, but they've taken away so much of the contact, and it's why the tackling's not as good. It's why some of those, but you don't have those vicious hits. You don't have that thing. And I'll be honest, I think playing tackle football is probably safer than playing flag football, in my opinion. And I'm going to tell you why, because I've been around it. And I played flag with some competitive, big dudes. And you have no gear on. And those heads hitting the ground and those heads hitting the things. I've seen worse injuries there. With us, we're still wearing helmets. So even when you get hit in the head, you're having something. But I do think it has changed the mentality. I think flag is a safe for moms that are worried about their head, my kid and him having a concussion or something wrong. And I think everybody has to make their own decision on that. My son played junior pro football last year, won the Super Bowl, tackle football first year. This year he's 8 and playing, he'd have to play 8, 9, 10. So I'm holding him. We're going to play flag this year, but I'll put him back in tag. I think you'll see a lot going back and forth based on their age. Some kids don't play the middle school, and I think that's okay too. I think every parent's got to make their own decision on that. And, the information is incredible coming out, but the CTE stuff's kind of scary. I don't know enough about, all of that, but when you see pro athletes, the things that they go through is a lot different than what a junior pro kid's going through.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, let me ask you this, Chris. You had mentioned a receiver you guys had on flag football. I may have missed last name Perry. Is that what you mentioned? Is a guy that
Michael Green.
Michael Green.
What kind of receivers? Rodis Williams. I got a bunch of good.
Yeah. I mean, let me ask you this. Are you still out throwing them? Can you still out throw them?
No, hey, listen, you know what? If I do, they let me know that because they do not think that's possible. Mike complains all the time, and he's not the only one. He said, man, I had to got beat by 10 yards. I ended up scoring, but I had to wait. You got to throw it out there. Let me go. And I said, listen, a good 30-yard pass and a 40-yard run is just as good as a 70-yard pass. I said, you just make the run after.
Yeah.
But, they do. They're outrunning my arm now. The arm strength has always been in question, but they're finding ways to get open. And I tell you that, with the flag field, it's only 80 yards anyway, and it's a short distance. And I've still got enough in me. I find that the more weight I put on, the further I can throw. I don't know why that is, but I got called Jerry Lorenzen, Bernie Kosar. I've been called a lot of things out there. So people like to have fun at my expense, and I play along, and I always say, hey, you just got beat by a 53-year-old. How does that make you feel?
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you one more thing about this flag thing. The co-ed division, okay? Is this a new venture for you guys, or how long has this been in the run?
That's how I got my start.
Okay.
Now here, let me interject here too, because in the article I read, that's how he met his wife.
Hey.
All right.
One of the best flag games I ever played.
Best flag game ever, right?
Yeah. Hey, she was faster than me, still is, and she still, right now she doesn't get to play a lot with me because she's having to watch the kids while I'm gone playing. And and she's very supportive of flag and everything. But we did meet that way, and co-ed was kind of social. When you start playing flag in college, you're trying to meet people and be social, and that's co-ed is the way to go. Now, a lot of it, when you get to the competitive co-ed teams, hey, there's some girls out there that are tough and mean and can run and play, and I played with some great girls and I played against some great girls. But yeah, co-ed football is a big thing, and I tell you, Florida. And I don't know, Georgia maybe too, and you can tell me this, but they've sanctioned flag girls football as a state sport.
They have.
Is Georgia doing that?
Yes, they absolutely did. Last fall they did. They sure did.
Tennessee is missing the boat on that because flag football for girls, and I would love for us to have region games where our girls played flag football at 5 o'clock on the game field right before we went out and took the field at 7. I just think that would be.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
an awesome thing for everybody. A great thing.
That is.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it would be great. You know, going back to the co-ed, and do they have a kind of a AAFL type tournament as well?
They just started the women. So right now, AFFL just has a men's tournament, and it's late. They started it with 64 one year, 128. I think 128 teams the first year, and you just get knocked out as you go. You got to make it down. We made it to the final 8. And the women's tournament starting this year, I think, with 4 to 8 teams. These are like Olympic teams. Like we have teams that are going to be in the World Games and things like that. These are big teams from all-star teams from all over, and it'll be really big. But co-ed isn't in AFFL. Co-ed is in all of the sanctioned events that you go to. And what happens is, like, if we're there playing men's, we're also going to have a co-ed team in. They're at different times. It's kind of that laid back, hey, we just had a heated game. Let's go over and play some co-ed. Has fun. You know the other people on the co-ed team, and it's real good. We've made some friends on a Pound for Pound out of Ohio, BOB out of Atlanta, coming to get you out of North Carolina. So all these teams, we know the girls. Sometimes they play with us. We mix it in, just get it in. Co-ed is a booming, and it's really growing. But still, the men's game is big, the women's game is growing, and the co-ed is growing. So I think AFFL will one day have it. I think right now they're focused on the men and getting the women involved so that we can showcase what women can do in flag football.
Well, sticking with
final
that.
flag question.
All right, go for it.
Obviously, your age has been exposed. Your age has been exposed, Chris. Is there a senior division? Is there something like that in the works? I mean, or is it
35 and over has better athletes than the regular teams. I was playing when I get into 35 and over and play the people out of Florida and Louisiana.
Okay.
Those guys are so good, and I'm like, I want to check birth certificates because some of the best players on the other teams are 38 and 39 years old. So the senior division of 50 plus, no, that hasn't happened yet. When that happens, I'm going to be a defensive back. But right now, that doesn't happen. So I'm going to play quarterback. But the 35 and over division, we are playing some of that with some of the guys that I originally started with. I started playing with Jay Franklin and Jason Vaughn and Trace and Daryl and some of the guys. We had a Nashville Bullets team, and they picked me up, and we played 8 contact. And those guys, we played together. And now 35 and over, you can kind of get some of the old guys back together and play a little bit and have some fun. So they do have that division. It's just not a lot of teams. You'll go to a tournament, we'll have 4 or 5 teams in it.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Well, one other story that caught my attention in this article, I think it was a Williamson Herald Leader, if that's the correct public.
That was a big article.
Is it what you –
Too much info in that article.
There was a lot of info. He really got delved deep in it, but I couldn't stop reading it because I got down to about 3/4 of the way through this thing, and I'm like, okay, so he met a really attractive young lady, and he was trying to get her to go out with him, and you pulled a little dirty deed to get that.
Best $20 I ever spent. Adam. Best $20 I ever spent.
For those that did not get the chance to read the Williamson Herald Leader article special on you, please enlighten them about that story because that story is classic.
All right. So Stephanie Culpepper was that's my wife's maiden name. She had avoided me at all of the as much as she could, and I finally used her competitiveness to get her to hang out with me, and we went to go-karts and golf in between flag football games, and I think we were in Pensacola, Florida. Well, we were there, and I said, well, hey, let's make a little wager. And I said, I can beat you at every game in here. And she said, no, you can't. So we did the decathlon, best out of 10. So we tied. We played. She beat me at one game. I beat her at a game. We just went back and forth. Well, we come down to it, and it was 4-4. And I said, hey, this last one, let's do the go-karts, and whoever wins, wins. And so I talked her into that. So she's watching, and she's so competitive. There was this red car, and it was winning every race. Like, we were in a long line, and it won every time, like this one car. So she knocks down 3 kids to get in that car. Just runs over them, like, make sure she gets the red car. I'm in this little car in the back, and she's like, oh, yeah. She's awesome. She goes around, and she's laughing. I mean, she's way ahead of me. And as we go around, I said, I'm still going to win. I'm still going to beat you. And she's like, you can't even. I'm about to lap you like she's whatever. Well, as she come toward the finish line, the car died. And I put my feet Get up and cruised by her real slow. And I said, hey, and then I pulled through. Well, she was trying to lean to get the car, the go-kart to move, but it wouldn't move. So the guy flipped the switch and cut her car back on. And she let him have it. He said it wasn't worth the $20. But while she was in the bathroom, I gave him $20 to cut her car off when we had the race. And it was like an hour before we raced. When I got in the car, I went, hey, you remember me? He goes, I got you. I said, that one right there.
Dude,
and she never was the wiser. And
you were working the long con. He was working the long con.
Oh, yeah. That was a lot of planning that went into that. And what was funny was I just asked her if she'd give me her phone number if I won. Well, then she gave it to me, and this is a good story I didn't even share with him. I lost the number. Listen, so I see her the next week at our flag game in Murfreesboro, and she's like, you didn't even call me. And I'm like, that might have worked in my advantage. So then I got her number again and they called her, but I probably would have dialed it 50 times the next day if I'd have had it. So I would have ruined it.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's a great story.
I tell you, I believe, and there's something, Adam, I tell her this all the time. God is good, and he's been so good to me. And that's the kind of stuff that there's some divine intervention in everything that happens. And I don't know why COVID and all this stuff's happening, but there's a reason. And everything's going to happen like it's supposed to. And I just believe that he's been so good to me and so good to my family that I have nothing but faith and hope and just believe that everything's going to happen is supposed to happen. And that we are so blessed just to be here talking tonight on this show.
So, well, hey, as we wrap it up, Coach, I just want to wish you guys a good luck this season, however it turns out. And, man, I definitely be keeping up with you guys as always. And, man, I can't wait to see those uniforms.
Well, you're always welcome out in the view.
Hey, there's a lot more choices for restaurants, so you know me, man. I'm always in for a good meal.
Snappy's Pizza. Big Joe Douglas always gets Snappy's Pizza. Well, Jefferson's now. We got Jefferson's. Yep. We're uptown right now, Paul. You don't even know.
Oh, my goodness. Well,
Chicken Wing Wednesday right now.
Chicken Wing Wednesday. Awesome. But, yeah, Chris, thank you so much for joining us. For those of you that joined us on our Facebook Live, if you missed it, you can catch it on my page, Chris's page, or Paul's page. It'll be up there if you want to rewatch it. Also, if you want to check it out anytime, it's going to be on the Drive Through Sports with Adam and Paul YouTube page, YouTube channel. Subscribe there, and as well as the audio for this is also going to be available immediately after this show on Drive Through Sports with Adam and Paul on our podcast on Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeart, and Google Podcasts. Chris Hughes, head coach of the Fairview Yellow Jackets, getting ready for another season. Wish you nothing but the best. And I'll be watching you from down here in Georgia. Hope we can get a season in. Thank you, Chris.
Hey, we just got Drive Through Sports. Can have a little catchfrage. Drive Through Sports, go Jackets. That'd be a in the show every time.
All right. Thank you,
First
everybody, for watching.
Sponsor. I love it.
I love it.
Appreciate y'all having me.
All right. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks,
All right. We are off the live stream. So, Chris, thank you so much.
Oh, he's gone.
He gone. All right.
You're still recording.
I'm still recording.